Welcome back to LEGO Wars and Heat F of the series. Last time out, the rookies were running riot as Sriracha launched its disc at any opportunity while the twins went undefeated in a very competitive heat. This week it's two stalwarts of the series that took titles in 22, with our third international champs Duck seeded 16th and our Series 3 champions Agro returning as the 9th seeds. Let's see who else will join them tonight.
First, from Manchester and seeded number 9, Agro.
The ex-champs are back with a chip on their shoulders after a close JD took them out of international and are out to bludgeon the field.
From Palo Alto, California and seeded number 16, Duck.
Duck has had a ropey off-season with losses to Shatterstar and Tantrum in the specials, but they've been down and out before, only to then come back strongly.
From Norwich, Ganymede.
The Big Vert was somewhat unlucky last year not to progress in the heat, so they've gambled on no ground game this series to improve their reach.
From Deep Space, Terok Nor.
From somewhere near a wormhole comes Terok Nor, hoping to deliver some firepower from their teeved outer ring. Warning, may contain Garrick.
From Spanish Fork, Utah, Scarlet Serpent.
Series 4's most original entry winner is back at it again with improvements to the head and track pods to prevent a repeat of the damage sustained last year. With an interesting lineup set, let's crack on with Fight 1 of the night and our 9th seeds Agro taking on Ganymede.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Our former champions Agro kick off Heat F then of LEGO Wars Series 5 as they take on Ganymede, the big pink, fuchsia-ish, magenta-ish vertical spinner. Of course, last time around we saw them destroy Hypershock. Didn't get a seed though. Agro, of course, seeded number 9 for this campaign. The third series champions last time around made it to the round of 16 before being pitted by King B Cubed. They'll be hoping for better in this series as well. Probably still the best hammerbot in LEGO Wars, it has to be said. They've got all the pedigree in the world and a beautiful new livery on top, inspired by creator David's actual team logo with the kind of Ho-Oh-esque rainbow wings on top. Agro chasing and harassing Ganymede right now. The vertical spinner. Oh, big impact there from Ganymede, ripping off one of the wheels of Agro. This would be an almighty shock here if Agro aren't able to capitalise against the unseeded underdogs Ganymede. They've come back this time around with an improved design, and so far looking pretty good against Agro. Agro, decent enough start, but have since come under a little bit of pressure from Ganymede. But now look, there goes the wedge at the front of Agro, and there goes the top lid as well. Goodness me. Agro under real pressure here, and Ganymede coming back with a point to prove, named after, of course, one of Jupiter's moons. And at the moment, they're trying to send Agro to space, I think, because currently Agro is in peril, and they know they're under pressure here. Agro doing their best to try and mitigate what is so far a very difficult opponent to fight. Although Ganymede's weapon has been silenced and stilled and isn't working as fluidly as it once was. Agro still fully functional. Yes, they're down a wheel, but they're still driving true backward and forward. They've still got the hammer. They're still aggressive. And that could yet bode in their favour should it go to time in this fight. Ganymede will be wondering, if it does go to time, how will they not able to finish off Agro? They've got the weapon spinning up to speed again. It's been devastating so far. Whenever it's coming to check with Agro, but not this time. Agro doing a great job of stopping that weapon now and keeping it stopped. Good pushback by Ganymede. Agro still in the fight, but very much on the back foot after that initial burst they had at the start of the fight, but then Ganymede came back into it. But since then, Ganymede haven't really capitalised, have they, in this fight? They've been aggressive, sure, but not as aggressive as Agro, and we are going to go to time. I think Ganymede will be disappointed that they couldn't finish off the former champions here. The 9th seeds have recovered well, and they're going to go to a judge's decision to start the night off for the former champions Agro and Ganymede. Agro definitely came out of the traps the stronger here, with the hammer blows raining down on Ganymede, but Ganymede got some incredible hits on Agro. First on the wheel that came off there, and again a second time ripping the wheel off completely, which left Agro's integrity and structural rigidity kind of compromised, and Ganymede took full advantage of that. But from then on, after the wedge came off, Agro came back into the fight, and Ganymede's weapon wasn't at its most effective throughout the fight, so it'll be a difficult one for our judges.
And the winner by split decision is Agro. A nail-biting start for Wubber as their aggression does enough to score them the win. Next up, it's the 16th seeds Duck starting their 5th campaign against Scarlet Serpent.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Another veteran takes its bow in LEGO Wars Series 5 as Duck, our original first series runners-up, are back in the arena. Of course, former international champions as well, winning in 2022. The same year, actually, that Agro won their LEGO Wars title, interesting to note. And Duck here, taking on Scarlet Serpent, who, of course, is one of the most beautiful robots in the entire field, I have to say. The builder of Scarlet Serpent should be very, very happy with how it looks, because it is just a stunning looking machine. Of course, had that great highlight last year where Monsoon caved its head in, if you remember back to LEGO Wars Series 4. So far, though, Duck proving that while they are a bit of an old hand these days, they're still very, very effective in the arena. But, Scarlet Serpent isn't to be trifled with. They've got a good crushing beak at the front as well. They're trying their best to kind of snag the Duck kind of lifting arm, which apparently has been repaired. This series has been replaced because, unfortunately, the old one was breaking its mount supports. So, yeah, not ideal for Duck. They've come back with a revised solution. Looks pretty good so far as they take on Scarlet Serpent. Scarlet Serpent thus far struggling to get to grips with Duck. So far, vengeance most foul. It is not for Scarlet Serpent. Duck doing pretty well at kind of being slippery, like a bar of soap, isn't it, for poor old Scarlet Serpent? They can't really get in there. That's a good grip. Got the Scarlet Serpent clamping down on the lifting arm now. Have to let it go. Duck trying to lever up and throw. Scarlet Serpent gets away. Scarlet Serpent trying to get around to the side once again and use that crushing arm at the front to the grabber to kind of hold Duck. Scarlet Serpent also had a number of improvements for this series. They've worked on the drive pods being less susceptible to, imploding basically, but apparently that has introduced a defailure point, as we saw earlier on in the summer with their running LEGO Wars Champions, of course. The pods now just come off. Good push by Duck. Scarlet Serpent on the lip of the pit, but gets away, dips her. What is that in the pit? I don't know if that's in the pit or what. I mean, come on. Scarlet Serpent have touched the bottom of the pit, but they've got away. The fight's carrying on, so I'm going to say it doesn't count. Scarlet Serpent, that's a very neat little trick they've got there. They can just drive in the bottom of the pit where they want to. Brilliant stuff from them. Duck at the moment is definitely the one in the ascendancy. They've been the one pushing and pressing Scarlet Serpent back and trying to get them down the pit again. Gets away. Good driving there from Scarlet Serpent to evade trouble. And we're going to go to time here. Maybe a little bit controversial that, that wasn't counted as a pitting, but they did get away from the pit. And we're going to go to 3 minutes and time.
6.
And to our panel of experts between Scarlet Serpent the Dragon and Duck the Duck. A classic control match between two very good control bots, has to be said, in Scarlet Serpent and Duck. Duck, the aggressor for the majority of the fight, owing to the fact that they have more grip with their tyres compared to the tread pods of Scarlet Serpent, who did have their moments. They got good grapples of Duck's wheels on occasion, but I think Duck's power and grip throughout was a bit too much. There, Scarlet Serpent dipping a track into the pit. Was it in the pit? Does it count? Who knows? I have no idea.
And the winner by unanimous decision is Duck. As Serpent skirts the pit, it's Duck who takes the JD. Now it's the repaired Agro back in action to enter Terok Nor's orbit.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Agro were then hoping to follow up a decent performance against Ganymede, against newcomer Terok Nor. Now, Terok Nor is based off a space station from Star Trek, and a little bit behind the curtain here, David has left in my notes for me. Feel free to use as much or little Star Trek knowledge you have, and he will make up for it with any shortfalls. Well, here's the thing, I have no Star Trek knowledge, so I know about Mr. Spock. That's about as far as it goes. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And Data was cool. He looked like he needed to go out in the sun a bit more, didn't he? He was very pale. All that aside, Terok Nor is a full body spinner, newcomer to LEGO Wars, entirely new, and well, they're trying to take on the former champions and nearly Agro nearly ending up back down the pit. Would have been a pretty embarrassing way to start off their campaign against a complete rookie, who thus far we haven't really seen the best of that full body spinner. Apparently loosely based off of White Hole, but not quite as good, is what the teams say. We'll have to wait and see how they fare in the arena against our former champions. Agro, of course, repaired and rebuilt after a tricky first match with Ganymede. Managed to recover well, though. Did get the JD in the end. I think deservedly so, it has to be said. They were slapped about early doors, but they've managed to get back into the fight and respond quite well. Agro here doing their best to try and stop the angles with the full body spinner spinning up, but really not seeing the full body spinner spin up. The drivetrain on Terok Nor actually does seem pretty decent, though. Has to be said, I wouldn't say they're at warp speed, but they're certainly, trying their best, and they're pushing Agro back here with some force, and fair play to them. They're doing a pretty decent job of doing so. Agro pushing back on Terok Nor. It kind of looks at, do you know what, if you squint as well, without the spinner kind of mech on top, if you squint at the chassis a little bit, it does look a bit duckish, and that's a decent drivetrain sort of baseline to be basing your drivetrain off of, basically. And so far, Terok Nor is proving a little bit of a tricky customer to deal with here for Agro with the weapon, leaving a little bit to be desired, it has to be said, but the pushing power of it is still pretty good with the weapon down, and Agro here, I think they would have been a little bit more hopeful of a three-pointer, and the rookies here against the former champions are doing a pretty decent job, and Agro will be conscious of that, and they've snagged the arm on the gap in the arena. I thought for a second they could have been immobilised. Well, it's not going to matter anyway. We're going to go to time here between these two, and well, Agro will be hoping that they get the decision, because otherwise it's a pretty dismal performance. Terok Nor will be taking this one all the way home to the bank. Decent performance from the rookies against the former champs. Well, while Terok Nor did not boldly go where no robot has gone before, it did put up a decent fight against Agro throughout this as a rookie against a former champion. Agro did get the hammer down a few times, but were almost pushed down the pit. Maybe a little bit overconfident, not sure. Agro did get some very good hits in and cause some damage to Terok Nor. Of course, disabling the weapon as well was crucial, and I think could swing it in the judges' favour, but it wasn't a stellar performance from the former champions, was it?
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Agro Wubber. Agro Wubber takes another 2 points, but I wonder if they'll rue not KOing the space station as we move on to Fight for All the Night between Serpent and Ganymede. I'll go get the bin bag.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, Ganymede off a narrow defeat against Agro Wubber, taking on Scarlet Serpent, who of course lost out to Duck in their fight, both by the judges. Let's see how they get on against each other. Both after that crucial first win of the campaign. Damage sustained already by Scarlet Serpent. That jaw, of course, was obliterated last series by Monsoon. Ganymede will be hoping to do something similar, although so far Scarlet Serpent using its control capabilities very well and avoiding that weapon where possible. Ganymede up to speed. Oh, there goes the head! It's been destroyed again in a carbon copy of what we saw last series. The head has been obliterated by Ganymede, and now the pit is open because Scarlet Serpent know that is their only viable tactic to it. There's nothing left of the head. Ganymede, you can stop now. It's been destroyed. It's been completely destroyed. There's no... It's just flipping about. Amazing. Ganymede using that weapon to try and cause more devastation on Scarlet Serpent, although the weapon of Ganymede is now stopped spinning backwards. Is that going to be because there's something caught in the weapon mech? Maybe. Ganymede struggling to get it spinning the other way. Now it does so. Scarlet Serpent pushing them back. Good control by Scarlet Serpent without that jaw now. More damage sustained by the snake, although that front plough is resisting a lot of the damage that Ganymede can throw at them. Although part of that Ganymede weapon has just ejected itself and launched itself at the Scarlet Serpent and is now shaking itself to pieces. Ganymede, can they hold on? They're not exactly in full control of the fight, and Scarlet Serpent at the moment seems to have the drive advantage, the drive power advantage certainly over Ganymede. And Ganymede now, they know they're weaponless as well. So can Scarlet Serpent pull off an almighty comeback victory? Well, Ganymede is now stuck and high centered by the screws. Are Ganymede immobilized? Scarlet Serpent think they are. Ganymede trying to shake itself loose, maybe with the weapon is now off balance. They're being counted out though. What an amazing comeback it would be for Scarlet Serpent, but no! Ganymede gets away in the nick of time using the off-centered, the off-balanced spinning disc to free themselves from the screws. Brilliant idea, but that is going to hurt Scarlet Serpent's chances now because they know they're probably still behind on points. It's going to be very close. Should it go to time, they're going to try and go for the big heave-ho maybe down the pit. Ganymede still spinning. We are down to our last 10 seconds. It's been an extraordinary fight of two halves, with Ganymede dominating the first half, shattering Scarlet Serpent's head, and Scarlet Serpent coming back strongly to take it to time and the judges. What a great fight between these two. Well, we were wondering if history was going to repeat itself with Scarlet Serpent and vertical spinning discs, and sure enough, yes, it did. Ganymede getting the money shot right there, destroying the head of Scarlet Serpent and a lot of the weapon mech along with it, but it wasn't all smooth sailing for Ganymede. As soon as that damage was sustained, Ganymede lost part of its weapon disc there, throwing it at Scarlet Serpent, and that hampered it for the rest of the fight. Scarlet Serpent responded very well and came back strongly towards the end of the fight.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Ganymede. With bits of serpent head everywhere, the Big Vert takes the 4th JD of the night in another close fight at the top. Let's see if we will get a KO in our next bout as Duck tries to take dominion of Terok Nor.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
So these two, Terok Nor and Duck, have similar drivetrains. Very, very different weapons. Terok Nor with the big outer ring spinner, and Duck with the 360 lifter. I wonder if they can deliver a crippling blow to Terok Nor's hopes of this heat. The Seeded Machine Duck, the former runners-up, way back in Series 1. Good lift there from Duck and lifting Terok Nor on top of Duck. And Terok Nor now stuck on top of the Duck. How on earth are they going to get away from there then? Because I think what's happened here is Terok Nor is now sitting on top of the infrared sensor on top of Duck, and Duck can't drive. This is great. Terok Nor, oh, there we go. Duck's managed to free itself. Some signal returned. Well done, Duck. You did a great job. Terok Nor now. Can they get that spinning weapon up to speed? They're trying their best to, but the spin-up time isn't the quickest, and they've gone onto the arena spikes. Poor driving there from Terok Nor. Good lift again from Duck, using that Duck bill to try and lever that spinner up and over. I wonder if it gets turned upside down. Is there any escape for them? Pit burn activated by Terok Nor. And trying to push Duck down. Oh, almost managed to do it there. The Seeded Machine in trouble. 16th seeds for this series. Duck, of course, once upon a time, former runners-up, former international champions as well. Way back when, in 2022. Feels like a lifetime ago now, doesn't it? Didn't realise it was only a couple of years ago. Oh, but Terok Nor on the lip of the pit, and Duck on the verge of victory. The first knockout of the night goes to Duck, and Terok Nor goes down the pit. Duck picking up a worthy 3 points in this fight. Well, naivety and experience came head-to-head in the arena in this one for me. Duck using all of their know-how of the arena to kind of gain an advantage early on, using the lifter exceptionally well to kind of disrupt and bamboozle Terok Nor. Terok Nor opened the pit thinking they had the facilities. They did not. Duck using the lifter to once again prize Terok Nor off the floor. Terok Nor drove onto the lip of the pit. Duck pushed them in.
At last, a KO! Duck dumps Terok into a wormhole to go top of the halfway stage. Wubber will be out to steal that top spot and hopefully a KO in our next fight against Scarlet Serpent.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Our former champions, Agro then, currently, thus far, on for a perfect run in this heat. Scarlet Serpent yet to get off the mark, and they'll be keen to change that, although they've got a stiff opponent in Agro to try and get some points from. Scarlet Serpent using that crushing jaw to kind of clamp down on the front wedge of Agro. Down comes the crushing arm of Scarlet Serpent, which is now being repaired after being detonated by Ganymede. Agro, of course, failing to beat Terok Nor within 3 minutes. They won via the judges, and there go the wings of the Scarlet Serpent. Mostly for decoration though, so they won't mind that. Agro's face also on the floor, but again, mostly for decoration. These two, very good control robots. Agro, of course, went all the way to the LEGO Wars Series 3 title, but Scarlet Serpent are trying to put a dent in their plans to go for the 5th Wars title, as down comes that crushing arm on the back of Agro. They are crumpling down on the back. Agro in trouble here. The former champions right next to the pit as well. Look at those wheels spinning at the front. They can't get away. They do now. Released by Scarlet Serpent, but Scarlet Serpent so far have proven to be a very, very tricky opponent for Agro to deal with. They've used the hammer well, they've caused damage, but so far there's not been a champion's performance from Agro, and they will be concerned that Scarlet Serpent can do a job on them, and they are doing a job on them at the moment. They get round the back for a second time, and they push Agro into the arena spikes. Brilliant work again by Scarlet Serpent. Down comes the hammer in reverse on Scarlet Serpent, but now being crumpled again by the reptile. The red reptile in the arena. Scarlet Serpent, down it comes. Again, that crushing arm doing a brilliant job of controlling Agro in this fight. Agro in all kinds of trouble. Stuck in the corner. Can they get away? Thus far, no. But down comes that crushing arm once again and puncturing in the claw, and there goes the top armour of Agro. Brilliant control again here from Scarlet Serpent, crushing down on the wheel and clamping them down so they can't escape. Thus far, Scarlet Serpent very much proving a match for our former champions, and Agro here stuck on their face that was ripped off earlier. Now they get away. I've been high centered on that for most of the fight, it has to be said, but Agro here is in real danger of not picking up another 2 points at the very least in this fight, because Scarlet Serpent is the one with all the kind of points on the board, so to speak. They've been using their weapon very effectively relative to Agro. Agro, of course, trying to control the fight, but nowhere near as much as Scarlet Serpent have been, and we are going to get a tie between these two. Agro needs to do something very, very quickly, in my opinion, to turn this fight around, because Scarlet Serpent has been superb.
6.
And I think we'll take the decision, but it's not up to me. We'll go over to our panel of experts, the judges, to decide the winner. Well, early on, the aggressor was Agro, bringing that hammer down over and over again on the Scarlet Serpent, even knocking its wings off at one point. Scarlet Serpent, though, that gaping maw at the front was just big enough to fit the wedge of Agro on it. And Agro was kind of limited in this fight because it drove over its own face that was removed early on by Scarlet Serpent. And the Crusher did its job, pinching Agro throughout the fight and controlling vast portions of the match.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Scarlet Serpent. Big upset there from Serpent as Wubber gets caught high and dry, leaving them needing a result from our final fight later on. In the meantime, its fellow seeds Duck back in action against Ganymede.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Duck then, now the only robot that can go unbeaten in this heat should they win this fight. Ganymede, 1 win on the board, beating Scarlet Serpent via the judges. 1 loss, losing to Agro, who seems to be struggling a little bit more as the heat goes on. Duck, good lift there. Trying to use the lifter to try and turn Ganymede over, fails to do so. Ganymede then comes back on the attack with that spinning disc, now repaired after its fight with Scarlet Serpent, where it shed part of it and tried to throw it at the Serpent, but the fight was already won for them by that point. Oh, and Duck! Oh dear, well they tried to lift Ganymede over, but the lifter is split, look! Right across the face, and now Duck goes for the pit bump because they know that their weapon has kind of been compromised, and I think that could be that. In terms of the lifter in this fight, Ganymede now know they just need to kind of get that weapon into play and cause some havoc, because in terms of weapon effectiveness, Duck is somewhat limited, and by somewhat I mean completely limited. Duck trying to use its superior drivetrain and pushing power. Mostly unchanged since the very first LEGO Wars, would you believe, Duck? It's an exceptional design that's done so well over the years, but you know, as time goes on, are they slipping down the pecking order? Maybe. Series 1, of course, was the one and only time they actually made it past the first round of the bracket, would you believe? Every other series, first round of the bracket, they get eliminated generally. Good push back by Duck, though, onto the lifting spikes in the arena. Duck having all kinds of issues, and is now all twisted and bent and buckled, and is upside down. Ganymede still stuck on the arena spikes. Are they both stuck together? They lock together. Duck can't drive away and does manage to self-right now. Ganymede's still stuck on the spikes. Can they get away from there? They're struggling to do so, but they do manage to do so just about. And the fight resumes. Ganymede trying to get that weapon up to speed and now try and cause some damage to Duck. Can they do so? Duck trying to push Ganymede down the pit. Just misses. Ganymede hits the pit button in sympathy. Doesn't get anything for it because the pit is already down, lads. Come on. Let's crack on. Oh, there goes the face. The face of the Duck has been completely removed by Ganymede's weapon. Duck pushes Ganymede back again and pinning them by that pit button. Good control once again by Duck. Ganymede up to speed once again. That weapon so dangerous when it comes into contact with their opponent. Look at the lid, by the way, of Duck. Has almost been completely ripped away. You can see it there. There's a massive chasm at the front where it's been hit, and Ganymede is now starting to cause more damage in this fight as the fight wears on. Well, time is ticking away here. Duck has done very well to maintain the fight. Oh, but there goes the lid of Duck, and could that be crucial this late on? The judges will see this as a late reminder of what Ganymede has done, and cease is called. We go to the judges. I think, considering they didn't have their weapon for most of the fight, that Duck staying in as long as they did and maintaining a degree of competitiveness was to be lauded, really, from Duck. But that moment there, absolutely crucial. The weapon splitting apart, kind of limiting them in their effectiveness throughout the fight, did compromise them a lot. The face was removed as well, and in the end, the lid was removed by Ganymede as damage accrued over the course of the fight.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is Ganymede. That wibbly arm on Duck edges them just above Wubber and Ganymede, but it's looking very tight between the top four going into the closing stages. Terok Nor, though, looks to potentially be down and out and will need something from that upcoming bout with Serpent to have any hope of progressing.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Scarlet Serpent have played themselves into a pretty decent position coming into their last fight of the night. Terok Nor still also have a fight to go. Scarlet Serpent will be hoping they can deal with Terok Nor nice and quickly, using that kind of plough at the front to kind of stop the weapon like that. And Terok Nor has now been stopped, and Scarlet Serpent can come in and use the crushing arm to grab a hold of that outer ring and drag them around wherever they like. In goes Scarlet Serpent using the crusher to great effect, grabbing hold of Terok Nor. And they're certainly not dashing off to warp speed at the moment. They are being pinned down by the Scarlet Serpent, and they've absolutely got them where they want them. The red reptile in the arena, scuttling around, doing a pretty decent job, all things considered. At the moment, they're going to go for the pit bomb. While Terok Nor's right on the edge of the pit. Terok Nor caught by the Scarlet Serpent, and they're surely down in the pit. They can't quite fit, but surely that's in. They can't drive away. Scarlet Serpent pushes them in and wins the fight and get another 3 points. Their excellent total for the night already. Scarlet Serpent the winner. Well, I'm sure Scarlet Serpent will be happy with their night's work, as they have been able to pick up points in every single fight despite losses as well. Terok Nor's weapon was able to be stopped pretty easily. Down came the crushing arm, grabbing hold of that outer ring, were able to drag them around the arena with some degree of ease. Scarlet Serpent subsequently opening the pit. Terok Nor got caught out, and Scarlet Serpent with the coup de grace, pushing Terok Nor down the pit.
A clinical display from Serpent disposes of Terok Nor and guarantees themselves at least a playoff position, as both of our seeds are now looking very nervous. We'll have to wait and see how things shake out in our penultimate fight, first between our spacefaring Ganymede and Terok Nor.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
The two spinners in this week's heat then go head to head, with Ganymede taking on Terok Nor in Terok Nor and Ganymede's final fight of the night. Terok Nor, and Big impact from the get-go, and they've kind of lifted the whole weapon mech assembly up out of the robot slightly. Can you see that there? It wasn't as flush as it once was. Terok Nor now up to speed. Ganymede chasing them down. Massive impact there, and they've split the ring of poor old Terok Nor, who've had a pretty rotten time of things on their LEGO Wars debut. They've yet to get a win on the board. They've got 1 point on the board, though, courtesy of a judge's decision loss to Agro Wubber, which I suppose they can take some comfort from, taking a former champion to a judge's decision, but Terok Nor here is not having a great time of things, let's say that much. Ganymede's weapon stopped and stilled. Back up to speed again now, though. Trying to cause more damage to the outer ring of Terok Nor. Again, my Star Trek knowledge isn't the best, so apologies for the lack of Star Trek puns. If Anderson were here, he'd love it. He would love it, but he's not. Oh, I miss him so much.
Meanwhile, lost somewhere in Southampton.
I wonder, if a Klingon competed in the drag race, would he go at warp speed?
Terok Nor battered around by Ganymede. Although Ganymede is in space, it's one of Jupiter's moons, I guess. So that's look, space fight. This is a Star War. There you go. References. Anyway, Ganymede trying to get the weapon up to speed, spinning it in reverse currently. Now spinning it the correct way. Terok Nor, I think they've just kind of given up with the weapon, haven't they, really? There's not much point of spinning it. They're getting absolutely shredded, by the way, by Ganymede. Oh, who almost backed themselves into the pit. And they do need to be careful here. Terok Nor's drivetrain isn't bad, and as you can see here, pushing Ganymede back. We saw earlier in the heat, Duck taking on Ganymede. Lost on the judges, but were able to push them around for a vast portion of that fight before a late flurry of hits from Ganymede helped swing the decision their way. And of course, the weapon effectiveness of Ganymede was probably a little bit superior to that of Ducks, who didn't really have much weapon effectiveness in that fight, did they? Same can be said here of Terok Nor, though. Their weapon has not been effective at all, and I suppose I can say that for any of their fights this heat, really. They've really struggled for the first time this heat. But Ganymede looking pretty good, using that weapon pretty well. They'll be happy with their night's work. They are completely shredding the outer ring of Terok Nor and trying to get to that drivetrain underneath it. They're not far away from it now. Although Terok Nor is sticking in the fight quite well here, you have to say. They've been pretty impressive to stay in the fight. And if they can take another point here against Ganymede, I'm sure they'll be delighted with their night's work. But Ganymede have got bigger fish to fry. They're hoping to win the heat. They may do, but time is trickling away in this fight. I don't think they're going to get a clean 3-point victory over Terok Nor as much as they may want it. Terok Nor is going to take it to the judges. I'm sure I know which way it's going to go, but it's a judge's decision nonetheless. Well, we have to give the rookies some kind of credit. They did manage to go a full 3 minutes with Ganymede, but it wasn't really much of a contest, was it? Ganymede systematic in their attacks, splitting the weapon of Terok Nor, and you know, the rookies can be happy that they've got another point on the board, but Ganymede was far, far in the ascendancy in this fight. Ganymede will be upset they didn't get a full 3 points, but 2 will do, I'm sure, from the judge's decision, and they'll sit themselves pretty at the top of the leaderboard so far.
And the winner, by unanimous decision, is it's Ganymede. I'm not even sure Chief O'Brien can get Terok Nor back into shape as they hurtle out of the competition, while Ganymede are now confirmed a spot in the bracket, leaving our seeds in sudden death going into the last fight of the night. With everything on the line, let's see which veteran of the war zone will keep their charge alive.
Roboteers, stand by. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Our 2 seeds come together then for the final fight of the night, and this has massive, massive connotations for, well, the result of the heat, really. Whoever wins this basically wins the heat. Whoever loses it is out. It is absolutely massive, and so far Duck doing a pretty decent job against the former champions. They are holding them against the screws. Agro Wubber stuck on top of Duck, get themselves down now. Agro Wubber go for the pit button, doesn't activate there. Agro Wubber drives away, trying to slither away from the corner. Agro Wubber escapes to the centre of the arena. Duck hits the pit button now. Duck back on the attack again, trying to get that lifting arm in underneath the little Duck bill. In underneath Agro Wubber, they're going to try and lift them over, doesn't get it. Agro Wubber down comes the hammer once and twice. Second time missing there, and now on the arena spikes. Agro Wubber, and Duck back in on the attack again, being very aggressive here, lifting Agro Wubber up on their side and doesn't quite get it over, but back down it comes. Agro Wubber, as I said, winner goes through and wins the heat, loser goes home, and that is the end of that for them, unless they get a wild card later in the series, but you never know. There's enough kind of big hitters already in that kind of wild card spot. At Agro Wubber, they've lost the top armour, they're high centred on the top armour. Duck are being sensible here and leaving Agro Wubber high centred. Agro Wubber in real trouble here. The former champions, the number 9 seeds, are being beaten by the number 16 seeds, and once again it is the lower seed that comes out on top in our seed clash. They're being counted out. Agro Wubber, they've only got 3 seconds to get away. Our former champions are beaten. Duck is the winner, they win the heat, and Agro Wubber are out of the competition. Well, in a fight that had so much on the line for the winner and the loser, it really did deliver. Duck using their lifter very well initially. Agro Wubbers trying to get their hammer into play didn't quite manage to have the impact and the effect they would have wanted. Duck using the lifter well once again, lifting Agro Wubber on their side, doesn't manage to get them completely over. Their top armour though did come off here with courtesy of a Duck lift, and Agro Wubber kind of positioned themselves stuck on top of their top armour, leaving them high-centred and immobilised, and Duck the winner.
And with Wobber stranded on their face, Duck takes the 3 points to finish the night on top. It's been another JD heavy night in the arena as through the close action Duck stood tall to take a 4th heat win in succession to move on, while their fellow seeds Wobber looks set to join Tantrum as a wildcard champ. That's all from us tonight, but join us next time when the First Wars Champs Panic Attack enter the fray alongside Dog Tipper's Whiplash. For now, though, I've been your host, David or Smeg, and we'll see you in the next one.
I wonder if I could.